Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Angeline Lim and today we're making Hainan Chicken Rice, a dish that's close to my heart. I've been learning how to make this dish from my mum for about a year or so now, so I've had a chance to make it a few times. I'd say I'm nowhere near Iron Chef Malaysia levels, but I'm ready to share with you what I've learnt so far. So let's give it a go. It's a simple looking dish, but when you sit down to enjoy these different parts together, magic happens and the flavours combine to create an iconic comfort dish. When Hainanese migrants left China and settled in Singapore and Malaysia in the early half of last century, they reinvented the Hainan chicken dish from back home into what we know today as Hainan Chicken Rice. Growing up as a kid in a Malaysian Hainanese family, this was a special occasion dish that we'd have at big family gatherings. And now that I know how much effort goes into it, I'm all the more grateful whenever Mum makes it for me. To start, we're going to break the dish down to the three major parts: the chicken, the rice, and the sauces. First up, the chicken. I'm using a medium to large bird today. This one's 1.6 kilograms or 3.5 pounds. Chop up a few spring onions into thirds and slice up a large chunk of ginger and add that to your empty pot. Near the cavity of the chicken, you'll find excess fat and skin. So cut some of that off and we'll use that to render later for the rice. Put your chicken in the pot and go and put the kettle on. You'll need about 3 litres of water. It just kind of depends on the shape of your pot. And it doesn't need to cover the chicken entirely, but it needs to come up pretty close. Add salt, a few teaspoons will be enough. Bring the pot to a boil and then simmer on the lowest flame for 45 minutes, covered. In the meantime, we're going to render the chicken fat on a low flame, and it takes about 15 minutes to finish up. Now we come to part 2, the sauces. We'll make the green sauce first, and we're going to use half a bunch of spring onions, finely diced, mainly the white and a little bit of the green part, and then set that aside into a bowl that we'll use to mix up all the sauce. Next, we need a large knob of ginger, about 100 grams. Peel the skin off. The sauce we're making today is a ginger spring onion sauce that you can use on just about everything. I use it when I don't know what to eat, and I'll fry up some eggs, have it with the rice with a bit of this sauce. It's pretty addictive stuff and it makes anything taste better. The next step will be to grate the ginger finely. Later today we'll also be making a red chili sauce, which is also super delicious. But out of these two, if I had to choose one to be stranded on an island with, it would be this green ginger and spring onion sauce. And the amount we're making today will give you lots of leftovers too. So now that we have our ginger and spring onions all in a bowl, add some salt, about a teaspoon or so, and then heat up some oil. Peanut oil works great here, or any other neutral tasting oil like canola. Pour it over and that's it, the green sauce is done. Time to make the red chili sauce. I'm going old school today with a pestle and mortar, and I'm using 4 bird's eye chilies and 4 chopped garlic cloves pounded together with a teaspoon of the grated ginger from earlier. When I had Hainan chicken in Hainan, I couldn't get over how good the chili sauce tasted, and I've learned recently that they use a local fruit called calamansi, but it's hard to find here in Melbourne. Kumquats though are the next best thing, and when I told my dad I was making this video, he told me he grew them in his garden and sent over a bag full. So lucky for me, I've got some on hand. Add some salt and sugar to the mix. You want a nice balance of sweet, salty, and sour notes. And there you have it, a gorgeous red chili sauce. The chicken's been simmering for 45 minutes, so it's perfectly done now. The next bit is a little bit tricky. What we want to do is take it out carefully without breaking the skin. I find this easiest to do with the back end of a wooden spoon, and slowly lift Drain the stock out and transition to a large bowl. Be careful not to burn yourself. Next, we give the chicken an ice bath to stop the cooking process and set the skin. Leave the chicken in there for 10 minutes and then set it aside ready to chop up later. Set aside the chicken stock because we'll need it for other parts of the recipe. And we're finally on to the home stretch. All that's left to do is make a beautifully flavoured rice. I think a lot of people will agree with me when I say that the rice is the best bit about this dish, and the chicken is just a flimsy excuse to eat more of it. So what we're doing now is getting aromatics together to infuse into the rendered chicken fat. We'll need a couple of shallots, garlic cloves, and a knob of ginger. Slice them all finely, and then we'll fry them in the rendered chicken fat. I did end up chopping the chicken fat into much smaller pieces to maximize how much oil I could extract. And these are the leftover crispy bits. They're pretty tasty with a dash of salt, and I'll feed this to a willing husband. Add a bit of peanut oil to top up the mixture. Keep your eye on the hot oil infusion and take care not to let the garlic burn. Once things are getting nicely toasted, strain this liquid gold into a hot wok. We're going to fry 2 cups of washed and drained jasmine rice until it's a little bit toasted. This will take a couple of minutes. Now I've made this with all sorts of rice and it's always delicious, but it's jasmine rice in particular that has a gorgeous buttery floral scent that's missing in regular white or brown rice. So if you can, use that and you'll be rewarded with a very nice smelling kitchen. Pandan leaf is really amazing in this recipe, and I'll use 4 leaves today tied into knots. Just layer them into the rice. Pandan and jasmine rice share the same chemical compound that gives them a sweet and buttery aroma. And if you can find it, I promise it'll take your chicken rice to another level. I like the rice well seasoned, so add about a teaspoon of salt as well. When it comes to cooking it, I can't live without a rice cooker, and neither should you, but if you don't have one, just follow the instructions on the packet of rice. In both cases, what we're doing is replacing the water with the same amount of reserved chicken stock. This is the finished result. Wish you could smell it, it's amazing. The final step is to make a super simple dressing to pour over the chicken. Just remember 3, 2, 1. 3 tablespoons of stock, 2 of soy sauce, and 1 of sesame oil. And now we can finally plate this baby up. Heat up some of the stock and garnish it with spring onions for soup. Serve up the side sauces. Now I've got an Asian mum in the kitchen who's expertly chopped up the chicken for me, but if you don't have one of these at home, just be careful and watch your fingers as you break down the chicken because it's quite slippery. Garnish with cucumbers and you're ready to roll. Time for the taste test. Yep, delicious. Thanks for joining me today to make Hainan Chicken Rice. There's a lot of steps involved, but well worth it. See you next time. Hi, I'm Angeline. Okay, let's try it again.